Giordi, there seems to be a lot of interest in the needs of personal representatives. So someone in their family just passed away. Maybe they're listed as the personal representative in the will. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not sure what happens next. But there's a lot of interest in this topic. So talk a little bit about needs of a personal representative and how it is that Executorium helps families meet those needs.
Right. Well, thank you, Reine. I think that's a question that every executor faces almost in a wilderness. So, what is this job exactly? And the tasks seem to come one at a time on a conveyor belt, and you're just picking them off as best you can. Um, Got to go sell mom's jewelry.
Yeah.
I've never laid out jewelry on a counter at a jewelry store and tried to not get ripped off. Not that that's going to happen, but I mean, if you're an executor, probably you've seen a few summers, it could happen. So,
Hmm.
how do you go at that? So practically just preferring information is on topic by topic is how we attempt to help. An executor has clean out responsibilities, liquidation responsibilities, the probate responsibilities, the expectations of the court, of the jurisdiction, of the county, charged usually in the state, usually in the state statute where probate resides in the counties or in the independent cities or county equivalents or parishes
Hmm.
if you're Louisiana. Getting value of the personal property and real property and any kind of property, settling the debts, knowing the expectations of the particular court. Is there disputes on the horizon? Is there going to be a crazy sister or something? Is there going to be an heir that comes out of nowhere? So,
Yeah.
you're in that role as executor and just trying to tackle these all the best you can with good intentions. Information helps, education helps, knowing what out there is out there in terms of the resources, knowledge, government support, and the service providers that can be very helpful. Um, Awareness of that, having those things on your radar can make the process less stressful, easier,
Yes.
and proceed with a better chance of success. I think that's Executorium's goal for every executor.
Absolutely. And probate, you mentioned probate is a process and that's true. And I hear people sometimes in my group say it's going to be an easy one. And even an easy probate case can still take a lot of hours and be very consuming and things pop up. And
Mhm.
so that's why I really like a resource like Executorium. Even if you don't know where to start, it's best to just start gathering information. And you guys have great information out there. Um, that I think I read an article one day even about just changing your address and having mail forwarded to you. I mean, there's just some really practical advice, but things you don't even think about when you find yourself in this situation.
Yeah, well, Abraham Lincoln said if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend four sharpening the axe.
Hmm.
So, wailing away at a tree is one way to do it, I suppose. But it's nice to have a sharp axe, and there's a reason you likely were named the executor. So,
Yeah,
it, it's not meant to be a struggle, but it may be a struggle. So, gather yourself with information and resources and people that can help.
absolutely. And Executorium is a free resource. We should mention that Executorium is a free resource. It's online, no login, no credentials. You just go out there and search and find the information that you're looking for. Um, When do you recommend that people start to take a look at some of the resources you have? Should they do it right away? Should they wait until after they filed for probate or after they've hired? When is the best time to start using a resource like Executorium?
Well, that's a good question, Reen. It's not a guidebook. It's not a how-to probate. It's not how to administer an estate. There are many resources of that nature, and they are uh, um, generally very good. I would My recommendation is that Executorium can help all along the way. I would
Yeah.
say start early and review on occasion just to you can't take it all in at one time. It's a huge learning curve. So by design, Executorium is meant to, you know, help you do your mail the right way,
Hmm.
help you do your mail the right way, help you know about like a tool like artifacts so you can go through personal property the right way or know what's in the house, earlier rather than later.
Sure.
How to, how, does your house smell? That's very practical,
Yep. Yep.
right? Does,
Yep.
hey, our house smelled a little bit. We were not really, we were very comfortable with it and aware of it, but you are selling, you're liquidating real property. So, how do you deal with that? We have an article about that, as practical and
Yeah.
uh, almost humorous as that may be. It's real, and it's an executor's responsibility to marshal the estate through the probate process, through the estate administration process, so that the heirs have their due inheritance.
Hmm.
So, if your house smells, maybe you're going to get 350 for it instead of 375. I don't
Right.
know. That's a very specific example, but earlier would be better, just so you can take advantage of Executorium's intent, which is to be aware of all the resources that are out there, and be a better executor, and give yourself a
Yeah.
successful outcome.
It's funny, as I'm listening to you talk about this, I was thinking back to when I was personal representative for my father's estate, and I think of the three things that I really needed. I needed information, good information, and I needed resources, and I needed help. Help and resources, I guess, but I needed help and I needed information. And Executorium, you provide information, you have links to government websites, forums, but then you also have access to people who can come out and do the estate sale and do the work. And so really, even if it is, even if it's a little bit ad hoc where you look for the resources that you need and the information you need, it's all right there. Like everything you need is there. And that's one of the things I love about it.
Well, thank you. It's simple. It's not whiz bang, extensive, and trying to be more than it needs to be. It is a section of uh, external resources that we find around the web that we want to bring to people's attention, articles we've written or our guests have written that can help them through their task. Because, boy, we have had such great exposure and experience with service providers in this space. We have to take advantage of their knowledge, and a lot of them show
Yeah.
up in our article section to the estate service providers directory, so every executor can say, okay, probate attorneys, accountants, estate salespeople, auction, grief support, mediator. What do I need a mediator for? Huh.
Hmm.
Okay. Fiduciaries, estate administration services. Some folks are out there now that will just help you through the whole process, and they have subcontractors. They have liquidation experts and real estate folks and probate attorneys and accountants. Um, and then you keep reading and you see, real estate agents. And of course, real estate agents are so very often, when they specialize in probate, just a key to all sorts of contacts and resources in their network that are all specialized in this area. So to go around and hunt and find the people and vet them is a long process, and not without its you know pitfalls.
Yeah.
So get help, get help. So that estate service provider directory is a good place to start, at least to learn what help is out there. And
Yeah.
that's at its basis why it's there.
That's one of the first thing that I mention to clients who contact me when they need help with an estate is your case may be unique, and there's some things that are unique about your case, but the legal process is the same. And you don't have to go through this alone. There are people that have been through this, and there are also services like the services in Executorium that can help you through it. And one of the other things I want to mention to our listeners and viewers who aren't sure if they need to start with an attorney or not. I've had clients who have started pro se without an attorney, and they'll do as much as they can using a resource like Executorium. And then when they reach a point where they need the legal help, they can still interview some of those attorneys that are in the catalog and bring them on to help them with specific issues in their case. So even if you're doing this pro se, if you are, you definitely need to go take a look at this information. But you can also use the resources and have an attorney or an accountant or somebody jump in later on in the process and help you where you're stuck as well.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And where this is something we're building. This is an asset for executors, we say very often, and we're still, we're building it,
Yep.
building it out. And there's always going to be flesh to put on this bone, like I said. And where we have is the government directory, and we also have resource reference guides by state. We want a link to the statutes, state by
Mm-hmm.
state. So we've been working that into much of our state material, along with, what's the statute and what's the treatment by state on digital assets? Where do you find unclaimed assets? What is the state bar contact information and their section on estate and probate if they have one,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that you can just, it's hard to learn about these after you've been the executor and like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, I really wish I would have known. So if we can cure anything, maybe we can remedy that left
Ab-
dearth of awareness.
Absolutely.
And again, make stronger executors. That's the point.
Absolutely. And as we are talking about needs of the executor, what is something either from your own experience or from helping others, what is something that the executors need, but early on in the process they might not even realize it? Are there any kind of big things that surprised you or any of the clients that you work with?
Well, just a point of just a quick point of correction. So we don't work with executors directly.
Oh,
There are no
correct.
clients. Again, we put this out as an asset for executors, and it's open access. So that executors just come in and take what they need, learn what they need, and move on, and hopefully come back. There's no registration. So to answer your question, Reen, I think I think without sounding too self-serving for on the basis of executorium, I think it's information.
Hmm.
I think it's awareness. I think I did, I just think of my own situation. I did not know about exec estate. I didn't know about so many of the services that are out there, state registry, all these things that,
Yeah.
could have made the job easier to like to where do I put my family photos? And then I learned about archival methods. So just learning as much as possible. You're in a new space. You're the new guy. You've seen you've been everyone who's been an executor, like I said, has seen a lot of summers is likely. So you've had jobs,
Mhm.
you've had experiences, and you've been the new guy or new gal. So that person is just bumping into stuff until they learn the ropes. And with an executor, it's like you're automatically expected to just like,
Right.
see this through, execute it, manage it, and it's your first shot. It's your often only shot. So, hopefully this resource can assuage some of the pain points, attenuate, we
Abs
say.
Absolutely. In fact, it's interesting that you said that because as I listened to that, it reminded me you're dealing with legal issues, you're dealing with family issues, you're dealing, you gotta also run your own life, right? You still have kids that you have to
Oh
take to
yeah,
soccer. You still have your day job that you have to show up at. And so it's a tough job. And the more information, the more good information you have, the more helpful it is. So I agree with that 100%. And
I always just paint the picture. If you want to understand what an executor's job is like, everybody walks away from the graveside, and of course, everyone is sad, devastated. It's such a difficult time for everybody. The executor does walk away with a briefcase full of stuff.
oh yeah.
Walks away with a job to do, and their emotional responsibilities, their own grief.
Hmm.
We keep that in mind. We've made a very specific campaign of going out and finding grief support. Our goal, we're not there yet, but is to have grief support in every county in the United States,
Oh,
so that they can
fantastic.
go in the executive estate service providers directory and find a probate attorney and know that there's a grief support person in that county as well. We'll get there. Working on it.
Absolutely. And one other thing I would like to point out for personal representatives and executors who are out there is as Giordi mentioned it, you're dealing with a lot of different things and you have the family and people in the family don't all understand the process either. And so communication is big, but even better, you can share this link with members of your family and they can start learning more about the probate process. Otherwise, if they don't, they're going to keep calling you or your attorney. And they want to know what's going on. Why is it taking so long? When do I get my check from the sale of the home? All these other things. And just pointing them to good resources that you can trust can also help take some of that pressure off from you as well. So
Yeah.
don't just keep this as a secret for yourself. Share it with people in your family and let them learn more about the process too.
I think that's a strong point, Reen, is that and I didn't have this in what I said previously when you asked me what's the number one job for an executor. And I said understanding, and I'm thinking about for themselves, but educating your family
Hmm.
about what the jobs are, not in a defensive kind of whiny way, but as much as you can, flatly saying these are the responsibilities of the estate, and the resources are X, Y, and Z, and we are dependent on A, B, and C, and one, two, and
Hmm.
three. So there's a lot of waiting, there's a lot of processing, there's a lot of hurry up and wait
Yep.
related to being in a probate situation. And again, like you said, you have, often the in-between sandwich generation who find themselves executors, have to go pick up their kids at play practice or soccer practice or whatever, and then go home and, you know, reconcile the estate account or what have you, or any one of the 500 things.
Yeah. Absolutely. My dad had this gym with over 2,000 pounds of free weights. And guess whose job it was to sell those? And guess who had to move them?
That's good exercise, Reen. I'm
So,
sure you weren't thinking that when you were lifting up those 45-pound plates.
oh, absolutely. Oh, Giordi, this has been very helpful. And when we think of needs of executors, it's really important for them to gather information. And executorium.com is one of the best places I found to get information. I use it personally, even now in my real estate practice. And I will put a link in the show notes below. In closing, is there anything else that you would like our executors to know?
Yeah, it's a bit touchy-feely, but I'd say be as kind as you can to yourself while you're
Mm.
going through this process. It's can I swear on the show, Reen? Because it's
Yeah, well,
it's
yeah.
it's darned it's darned difficult sometimes, and
Yep.
a lot of people, a big chunk of their posterior is missing when they exit it, and that is actually not my original thought. That was the thought of my probate attorney friend, who said that he finds a lot of executors are a little bit world weary after this experience. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
light deal for many folks, and it's stressful and it's emotional, and you got your own grief, and it's often that's on a pause. So be kind to yourself. Do what you can to just take it in stride and move it forward.
That's a great tip, often overlooked, is just the self-care.
Yeah.
Just carve out 15, 20, 30 minutes for yourself and, you know, and just take care of yourself. It's really
Li
important.
Listen to some Jimi Hendrix records or something.
Absolutely. Jordy, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Rena. I enjoyed it, and anytime I get a chance to just tell executors, take it easy, and you'll get through it. I'm glad to be here. So thank you very much.